This is Neil Ratner Rock Doc here on WDST Radio Woodstock with another episode of This Week in Rock with support from Transcend Dental and my friend, the amazing dentist and rock star Bruce Milner. Visit Transcend Dental, his office at 2 Maverick Road on the corner of Maverick Road and Route 375. Singer, songwriter, and guitarist Elvin Bishop turned 83 years old this past week. Bishop grew up in Oklahoma, where he began to sing and play guitar. However, after listening to certain big city radio stations that would come in late at night, Elvin fell in love with the blues. Bishop did well in high school, winning a full scholarship to the University of Chicago. And as he relates, moving to Chicago gave Elvin the opportunity to understand what the blues was all about.
When I got to Chicago, it was 1960. And there weren't many white people into blues, even in Chicago. And I'd go down in the ghetto. I went to the University of Chicago. It was kind of education was my cover story. But I was lucky enough to get a scholarship where I could go any place I wanted to. And my folks had been through the Depression, and they had this picture of education being spelled with a big sparkling capital E, you know. And so it really would have been unpopular for me to mess that up, which I did. So I was in the doghouse for a few years till I started bringing home TVs and stereos and stuff like that, you know. But the blues and the white population had not met to any extent at that time. The only way that a white person would see blues in the early 60s was if you went to a folk festival. Blues was considered a small department of blues. And that would be one old guy with an acoustic guitar, is what it was, you know. Meanwhile, in the ghetto, Muddy Waters and Magic Sam and Howlin Wolf were blasting out electric blues, you know, and that was the real stuff. It was, when I first got to Chicago, it was like hip-hop is today. It was the living, happening, daily music of the black people.
On his first day in Chicago, Bishop was checking out the neighborhood when he encountered Paul Butterfield, who was sitting in front of his apartment building, drinking beer and playing blues guitar. The two became fast friends and began to frequent the black blues clubs in the south side of Chicago, where they made friends with musicians like Muddy Waters and Howlin Wolf. Elvin joined Butterfield in 1963 to form the Paul Butterfield Blues Band and was the sole lead guitarist until 1965, when Mike Bloomfield joined the band at the suggestion of producer Paul Rothchild. And while their debut album was instrumental in introducing electric Chicago blues to the rock audience, it was their subsequent release, East West, an album that ventured further into progressive and experimental rock, which went on to significantly influence future bands with two lead guitar players, such as the Allman Brothers and Derek and the Dominos. In 2008, Elvin recorded the album The Blues Roll On. The record takes Bishop back to his roots and pays tribute to the musicians who helped him give him his start. Okay, let's listen. From the album, The Blues Rolls On, featuring Derek Trucks and Warren Haynes, Elvin Bishop, and Struttin' My Stuff.